Lesson 5-3, Add Integers. By the end of today's lesson, you will be able to add integers with like and unlike signs using a number line, as well as add integers with like and unlike signs using absolute value. Don't forget to take notes on this as we go along, as well as pause to rewatch any parts that you need to. Let's take a look at a couple examples to get ready for today's lesson. A football player runs the ball twice. He gains 4 yards and then 7 yards. How many yards does he gain? So we have 4 yards plus 7 yards, and that equals 11 yards. In the next example, we have another loses 3 yards. So I'm going to put a negative for he loses 3 yards, and then he loses 6 yards. So we're going to add both of those together, -6. How many yards does he have? We can use the absolute value of these to figure it out. So the absolute value of -3 is 3, plus the absolute value of -6 is 6. So that equals 9. But they were both negative, so we have to keep this a negative. So that would be -9 yards. Then on the third one, we have a third player gains 6 yards, so I'll put a +6. Then he loses 4 yards. How many yards does he gain? +6 minus 4 equals 2 yards. Now this was just an intro into today's lesson to show that we can add up integers. Sometimes they're both going to be positive, sometimes they're both going to be negative, and sometimes we're going to have a positive and a negative in today's lesson. Here's the first example. On an oceanographic expedition, the crew took the first sonar reading at 2 kilometers above sea level. The next reading was 3 kilometers below the first reading. What was the depth of the second reading? So for that, we would need to write an algebraic expression. So we would put 2, I'm going to put a little positive, plus, and then it would be a -3 because that was down below the first reading, would give us n, which is the number of the reading. So we can use a number line in order to show how we would add these integers. Okay, so we would start here at 0 and we would move right for positive integers. And remember, then we move left for negative. So we're starting here at the 0 and we're going to move right 2 times because we have the +2. Then we have plus a -3. So we're going to start here at this 2 because this is where we've landed when we added 2. And now we have to go back 3. 1, 2, 3. So we're right here. -3. So we started here at the 0. We added 2, 1, 2. Then we had to subtract this or add this -3. 1, 2, 3. That took us down here to -1. So our answer is -1. The depth of the second sea reading was at 1 kilometer below sea level, which is -1 km. Let's take a look at another example using the number line to add. So if we have +2 plus +3, we remember start here at the 0 and we're going to go up +2. 1, 2. We went to the right 2 because it was positive. Then we need to add a +3. So we need to go up from here 3 more. 1, 2, 3. And when we stop, we're right here at 5. So we have plus 3. Positive 2 plus positive 3 equals 5. Now we have positive 4 plus negative 5. So remember, we start here at the 0, and we're going to go up positive 4. So we start here, 1, 2, 3, 4. So this was adding 4 to positive 4. Then we're going to add negative 5. Since it's a negative, we have to go back the other way. So we're starting right here now where we left off, and we're going to go back 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Stop right here. And we've ended up down here at negative 1. So this would equal negative 1. Okay, let's try one now where we don't have all of the numbers that we're going to be subtracting. We have negative 3 plus x equals negative 5. We can also use a number line for this. So we start here at the 0, and we're going to subtract negative 3. So we go down 1, 2, 3. So here we have negative 3. Then we need to get down over here to this negative 5. So we're here, now we have to keep going in order to get to negative 5. So I'm going to count how many spaces I go to. I go right here to negative 5. And then I'm going to count how many spaces this was from where I ended here with the 3. So I was right here with the 3, and I need to count how many spaces I got to until I got here to the end. So I count, and that would be 1, 2. So that's negative 2 because I went to the left. So my missing number here, this x, is negative 2. So this would be written as negative 3 plus negative 2 equals negative 5. So another way to add integers is using the absolute value. So in order to do that, we would first add the absolute values of the add-ins. So here we have negative 2 plus negative 4 equals m. So if we use that doing the net absolute values, we would have negative 2, the absolute value of that, plus the absolute value of negative 4 equals m. So the absolute value of negative 2 is 2 plus the absolute value of negative 4, which is 4, equals m. Now we're just left with 2 plus 4, which equals 6. So we can put that down. 2 plus 4 equals 6. So our answer is going to be 6, but we still have these negative signs up here that now that's what we're going to have to do to figure out what sign our answer has. So those are both negative numbers. So that means that when you add them together, the answer is going to be negative. 2 negatives added together is going to stay a negative. So the negative 2 plus negative 4 equals m. Sorry. That equals, let me get rid of that, negative 6. So here's another example where the integers have like signs. So we're just going to do the absolute value of each one. So the absolute value of positive 5 plus the absolute value of positive 3 equals n. So we have positive 5 plus that absolute value equals 5, plus the absolute value of positive 3 is 3. 5 plus 3 equals 8. So now we look up here, our signs were both positive, so that means our answer is positive. So if both signs are positive, so a positive and a positive, the answer is going to be positive. If both signs are negative, the answer is going to be negative. Sometimes you're going to add integers with unlike signs. So in order to do that, you're going to subtract the addend with the lesser absolute value from the addend with the greater absolute value. So let's rewrite this using absolute value. We have -8, the absolute value of that, because we'll put the greater one first. 8 is greater than 5, minus the absolute value of 5, and that equals D. So now we have 8, because the absolute value of -8 is 8, minus 5, and that equals 3. Now we have to figure out which sign we're going to use, because up here we have a positive and we have a negative. You're going to use the sign of the addend with the greater absolute value for the sum. So the greater absolute value here would be 8. 8 is greater than 5. So we're going to use its sign. So that means our answer is going to be -3. You use the sign of the addend with the greater absolute value for the sum. So let's take a look at another example where we're going to add integers with unlike signs. So we're going to subtract the addend with the lesser absolute value from the addend with the greater absolute value. So we have the absolute value of 9. I'm going to write that with the absolute value sign with a different color so you can see that it's not a 1, it's the absolute value sign, minus, because we have to subtract, the absolute value of -7 equals S. So we have the absolute value of 9 equals 9, minus the absolute value of -7 is 7, and that equals 2. So now we have our integer, we just need to figure out what sign we have, because we have a positive and we have a negative. So we look down and see which integer is larger, 9 or 7. Our 9 is larger, so our answer's going to be positive because 9 had a positive sign on it. Make sure that you rewatch these examples a couple times till you fully understand them before you move on to today's lesson. Rewatch any parts of the video that you need to and take the notes that you need to.